The final football game of the 2025-2026 season is here. Super Bowl week. Hard to believe. Just remember, like it was yesterday, August. Kansas State, Iowa State, watching it from a pool, and now I haven't seen grass in about 2 weeks because there's snow everywhere. But the Super Bowl is here, as always. One of the funnest days of the year, one of the most hyped up days of the year. Patriots, their reincarnation after a few down years after Tom Brady and Bill Belichick leave them. The Seattle Seahawks back in it for the first time in a while. A lot of parity, I think, in this game. I don't think really anyone expected either of these teams coming into the season to be a Super Bowl team. I think people had playoff expectations like Drake May and company, make the playoffs this year. I don't even think they would expect them to win the division. Seahawks in the same boat, like maybe, like the 6 or 7 seed as a wild card. And these two teams have had great seasons from start to finish. So hats off to them. An interesting Super Bowl for sure. But welcome back, boys, and how are we?
Good. I mean, you touched on it. You blink and the season is over. We think it feels like just a couple weeks ago we were talking about our predictions and MVP contenders, dark horses, sleepers, teams like that. And now you blink and it's the last game of the season. And after this game, we won't be really talking. I guess football on an actual field until OTAs. Obviously, the draft coming up in April. We'll touch on that, but actual playing, the game, the sport, last one. So obviously, there's a lot of fun little props you can bet on games like this. There's a lot of little angles you can lean into. So we'll touch on all of them, but it's kind of crazy that we're already at the end of the season right now. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, it's always crazy, but it is exciting. This is what we do it for. Do it for the big rings, the big jewelry, So excited. Can't wait to see this game. But yeah, you say, man, the season always goes by quick. Who would have thought this is what we were going to see, the rematch from 2014 with the Seahawks and the Patriots? But I love it. Can't wait to get into it.
All right, so we're going to do a lot of gambling-focused type of episode here because, there's only so much X's and O's we can discuss. So we're going to do a lot of, prop bet talk. I think the Super Bowl is probably the most bet that either that or March Madness, like the most bet event of the year every year. So I'm sure a lot of people out there are going to be throwing some wagers out for this game. I want to start it off with one of the things that if we, are able to watch an offensive game and fingers crossed, not a 13-10 or something. Hopefully this happens within the first quarter, but first touchdown score, I'll throw it over to you first, Nick. Anyone that you're specifically eyeing up as your first touchdown score on Sunday night?
I'd probably lean one of the tight ends. I'm a fan of one of these tight ends, Hunter Henry or A.J. Barner. I touched on, or I put both of them as anytime touchdown scores, just straight. I think on the Hunter Henry side, throughout this whole entire season, he's proven to be, a very reliable red zone target for Drake May. He led the Patriots in receiving touchdowns in the regular season, was second on the team in yards, receptions, and targets. I know, the last 2 games, the weather has been tough to get really anything going. So his stats won't, really pop out from the postseason. But, it's supposed to be nice in San Francisco this weekend. Round 1 had 3 receptions, 64 yards, and a touchdown in that, low scoring wild card matchup against the Chargers. So I think if the Seahawks can kind of get some pressure for some quick throws, I think look out for Hunter Henry to be involved. And then A.J. Barner, I think, a lot of eyes are going to be on JSN, and obviously rightfully so. He's been one of the best receivers in the league. But A.J. had 6 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns in the regular season as well. He's the guy that they use in the short yardage, tush-push situation. So at plus 240, I think there's some value there. Maybe, they get down to the 1, and, now since Charbonnet is hurt, they, trust the tush-push a little more. So I think either of the tight ends, I'm a fan of having a big day. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I like that. I was a little surprised when you went tight ends, but I mean, makes perfect sense here. I was thinking a little bit differently, but on similar wavelength. You were thinking position group, same thing. I was thinking I'm feeling the running backs here, and I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson. I was really feeling him for any time and could definitely see that as the first touchdown score of the game. But really stood out because honestly, I'm like a Travion Henderson lover, supporter, fanboy of his. But honestly, watching that Denver game and thinking of how Mike Vrabel is as a coach, Ramondre Stevenson was that playoff bell cow powerhouse back and is just going to get it done. And I think he's earned playoff reps as a result because he's a veteran and he's trusted and proven in situations like that. And that's why I think he's going to be out there getting a lot of snaps, which it's no surprise. But if you get in a goal line scenario, I think they're going to trust a guy like that who they put in situations so far throughout the postseason. And I could see him breaking this game open and getting some points on the board in the first quarter.
I'm with you, Nick. I like the tight ends. I think we see a lot of tight ends in this one. I think there's some strong corners in this matchup. You get Christian Gonzalez on the Patriots side, Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen on the Seahawks side. I think we do see kind of the middle of the field is where a lot of the passing game gets done. I love A.J. Barner in this one. He's been the player that I've been looking at for the last few weeks, getting him there at 12-1. I'm a guy who's been a red zone force all year. And I saw a stat too. I think he's done 6 quarterback sneaks this year as well. So when they do like the tush push, he's the guy to go in there if they get on the 1 or 2 yard line and they decide to do that on the offensive end. A.J. Barner is going to get the touch. So Charbonnet was the goal line back all year. We know he's out in this one. Kenneth Walker, I think, can for sure hold his own on the goal line. But if they decide to go a different route there to A.J. Barner, I think he has good value there at 12-1 to get the first touchdown. So I'm looking at him. And then on the offensive side for the Patriots, I'm kind of with you too, Nick. I think we could see a tight end in this one. We always see a weird player potentially score in the Super Bowl. A guy kind of comes out of nowhere a little bit. There might be a guy that we're eyeing up. Pop Douglas plus 650 potentially. He's had a few big plays this year for the Patriots. So if he's able to he's a guy that can catch a pass and go 50 yards to the house. So anything on like a crosser route or a screen, if we're looking for a deep dive there, plus 650 Pop Douglas, I could see getting some value as well. So that's first touchdown, getting that out of the way. Straight up touchdowns. Nick, you kind of touched on a few, but I feel like this is probably going to be the most bet thing in the Super Bowl. Any guys that are jumping off the board to you? JSN at -110. He's been money all season. If you just bet him every week to score a touchdown this year, he was right around kind of this number. A lot of weeks he was plus money too. You definitely would have been up on the year if you just took Jackson Smith and Jigba to score every single week. Do you think we're going to see the same type of scenario in this one? Obviously with Christian Gonzalez on the other side, or are you eyeing up any other players for a touchdown on Sunday?
Yeah, as we touched on the first touchdown score. I like both, tight ends to one first touchdown, and I did on both anytime. Hunter Henry at plus 235, and then AJ at plus 240. But like you said about JSN, we touched on it. He's been one of the best receivers in the NFL. You get it at -105. I would. Why wouldn't you take it? I mean, he's just been the guy that they throw to. He, again, is probably the best receiver that the Patriots will face all season. He just had 10 catches against the tough Rams secondary. Patriots love to play man coverage too. They're top 10 in man coverage usage. But JSN is ranked second in man in this season, only behind Puka Nacua when facing man. So I think, they love to move him around in motion, put him in mismatch situations. Biggest game of the year. I don't see why Seattle would look to go away from their best player. But then on the Patriots side, I like Drake May anytime touchdown. I like his also rush attempts at over 6.5. 24 rush attempts in 3 playoff games so far. 2 of those games with 10 rush attempts. And we've seen Seattle's defense be very aggressive. Could see a lot of pressure, force a scramble outside of the pocket a lot. And Patriots offensive line has been one of their weaknesses. So he could look to, use his legs more. Seahawks are also one of the more zone-heavy defensive teams in the league. They play at over a 75% rate. Drake May has the highest scramble rate against zone defenses at over 20%. So I think Drake May uses his legs a lot in this one. What about you?
Yeah, I like
anyone
that,
for anytime touchdown?
Yeah, I'm gonna check boxes next to JSN and AJ Barner like you did on that. But then I'm gonna throw in my little sprinkle of storyline in there, and for storyline I'm gonna throw in Stephon Diggs. I'm just feeling that veteran receiver in the big game gets the big moment type of play here. Giving me shades to OBJ when he got in the Super Bowl with the Rams. Obviously, unfortunate ACL tear there, but early on he was shining. We all know he had that touchdown to start the game, and I mean, people were saying he could have potentially won Super Bowl MVP if he had a full 60 minutes of work. I feel like Stephon Diggs could have a similar impact. I don't know about whole Super Bowl MVP thing. Maybe we could touch on that later, but I could see him getting in the end zone, having one of those big performances. We've seen and I think I've talked about this on the show, a big transition from Stephon Diggs in terms of his personality on the field, in the locker room. He's truly blossomed into a leader, and that's just all the more reason that I really think that a moment like this, he's kind of earned that. He's done a lot of maturing in his career, and I could really see him savoring this moment, not taking it for granted, and then capitalizing on his opportunity.
Yeah, to piggyback off like that point off, a veteran that is a leader in the locker room. I think Cooper Kupp, you can look at Cooper Kupp on the other side. I think I saw plus 260. I like his over 33.5 receiving yards too. He's averaging 848 yards in the playoffs in 2 games. He's had 96 yards and a touchdown. And, he's a vet. He's been here before. A lot of eyes are going to be on JSN, which, can open up the field for Kupp. So I think to, piggyback on the, veteran type of play, I think look for Cooper Kupp to get some targets in this one too.
And did Cooper Kupp win Super Bowl MVP when the Rams won, or was that Stafford?
Yeah, I think it was Kupp. Was it not? I think it was.
I believe it was. So I mean that was a historic season, and that's what 5 years ago now,
right?
But he's shown up in the big game before. Yeah, he did win Super Bowl MVP that year. Yeah. Eight catches, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns in that game. So definitely like that. Any other touchdown scores catching my eye? It's funny, we talk a lot about touchdown scorers, and I think a lot of people are expecting this to be a relatively low-scoring type of game. But one guy I just kind of have my eye on as a dark shot type of play is Travion Henderson, plus 475. He hasn't gotten many touches. Stevenson's definitely been getting the bulk of the carries around the goal line, but what do we know about Travion Henderson? He's got that explosive ability. And you're telling me plus 475, he can't break one 40-yard rush loose? I think that's pretty good value. So if you're looking down the board a little bit for a guy to get a potential explosive touchdown, Travion Henderson there at plus 475 is a guy I would look at. And Rashid Shaheed as well at plus 350. He had a 50-yard catch in the NFC Championship game against the Rams, a shoestring tackle away from breaking that one into a 75-yard touchdown. So those are 2 guys. Anytime the ball gets in their hands, they have a shot. So looking at those guys, and even earlier when I talked about Pop Douglas at plus 650, that was for any time. For first touchdown, he's 35-1. So he's a guy I'm probably going to sprinkle like a little bit on for my first touchdown. But yeah, I definitely with you, Nick, like the tight ends. But I think the interesting thing about both these teams, really balanced. Like JSN, a dominant player. Outside of that, like Kenneth Walker has been a really solid player in the NFL, but Charbonnet got a lot of touches. Stephon Diggs, as you were touching on, Matt, has been a force in the league for a while, a really solid player. Same with Cooper Kupp, a really good player for a long time, but definitely not the players that they once were. These are really balanced teams, so we can see the ball spread out to a bunch. So I think that's where you kind of get the ability to, find some value down the board. Kayshon Boutte plus 330. He's been a great weapon all year. So I think we see a couple funky touchdown scores if you're looking to have some fun and sprinkle on some guys that have some better value. So let's move over to passing props now. Talk about a couple of our favorites here. I'll start off with my favorite. I like interception for Sam Darnold. He's been really good this year. I think he's really wrote off the narrative of that bust, obviously making it to the Super Bowl and all the success that he had last year, but he still is a pretty turnover-prone player. At 14 interceptions this year, I believe that led the NFL. He had 12 interceptions last year. I think he throws one in this game. This is a Patriots defense that's been awesome in the playoffs. They caused a few turnovers on Jarrett Stidham in the AFC Championship. Obviously, we know what they did to C.J. Stroud as well. Sam Darnold, 1 interception on DraftKings, minus 138. That's a bet I like, and I'm eyeing up. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I like that. I'm trying to see this one novelty prop that I saw that I really liked. It is total interceptions thrown on a play starting in the red zone. Over a half is plus 330. So maybe Darnold and the Seahawks get down in the red zone. They start to force something. I would like to sprinkle on that too. But to piggyback off Darnold, I think I saw a prop that I liked on Twitter was his pass attempts under. I think they kind of want to keep the ball in their hands, not really give the ball over to the Patriots, kind of control the tempo of the game, kind of, just run the ball with Kenny Walker. I know obviously you lose Charbonnet, but I think they kind of try to heavily involve the run game here, keep the Patriots off the field. So that's kind of the passing angle I would look at for this game.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, Nick. And then I think you kind of favors that idea you were talking about when you look at the game line and you look at the fact that the Seahawks are favored by like 4.5 points, and a lot of people are coming and seeing that the NFC was so dominant and expecting that the Seahawks are going to kind of prove that in this game, and that would go along with what you were saying. They're going to take control, try to run the ball as much as possible, but just not. No one expects it to be a slug out, so I don't see Sam Darnold throwing the ball 40 times. But I could see under passing from Sam Darnold. I'm kind of bearish on Sam Darnold interception, but I think that's just because like the part in me and I know so many Jets fans back home, I want to see him succeed on the big stage. So I think that's extreme bias coming out of me because that could be a really fun one, Nick, we were talking about within the red zone over 0.5 interceptions. But the fan in me is rooting for Sammy D to keep it in the Seahawks' hands.
Yeah, and Coyle, you were touching on Kayshon Boutte touchdown. His line is at 29.5. So I think you should take that in 3 games right now. He has 8 receptions, 147 yards and a touchdown. But I think the main thing that is really sticks out is exactly. He has 15 targets too. He's second on the team, only behind Stephon Diggs, who has 17. So, I think he's someone that they're going to look at. I know Matt Collins is back, so that could, take away some volume. But you could also say on the flip side, it might open up the field more a little bit, draw more eyes away from Boutte. And we've seen him, like you just touched on, the deep ball target. He's been a deep ball target for Drake May all season. So I think there's some value with such a low number at just 30 receiving yards for Kayshon Boutte.
All right, how about some novelty props? I'm kind of looking through them right now. There's a couple of funny ones here on DraftKings, 2 that have caught my eye, and I'm curious what your guys' thoughts on these. One is the Seahawks to attempt a pass from, on, or inside the New England Patriots 1-yard line, plus 550. Obviously, we know what that one's in reference to. But then Seahawks to throw a touchdown pass from on or inside the Patriots 1-yard line, 11-1. Those are both pretty interesting. Like I could see them like just rolling something out there for fun. And a lot of times too, like especially with the way that they run their goal line stuff, basically all through Charbonnet with Walker in there now, does that kind of change their philosophy? I could see them for sure too running one of those plays like out of the shotgun where they get JSN coming across on a crosser, AJ Barner out in the flat, something like that, plus 550. Like I don't think that's the craziest thing to at least attempt a pass. And then 11-1 for a touchdown pass. What are your guys' thoughts on those? Those are 2 that caught my eye and obviously tied to the last time these 2 teams played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's such a fun bet to make, especially obviously with the history with it. I think it's worth it. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. It's the last game of the season. Might as well, throw some Hail Marys out there, have some fun. And if it happens, it happens. And you're happy. And why not? Why not? What about you, Matt?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, also with the amount of people who are asking Mike McDonald what he would do if he was on the 1-yard line or the game on the line, like the amount of questions he's gotten this past week about that, like it would. You said, Coyle, it's not even like, even with the history involved, it's not even like it would be outlandish and ridiculous. Like they can get down there, hand the ball to Kenny 2 times, get stuffed, and then run a play action, and then dink one out to Barner, and then it's just an easy touchdown. So plus 550, I mean, those are great odds. I mean, I love it too. Like you said, why not? Not ridiculous at all, and then just a little extra history to make it
Yeah, one prop that I'm seeing right now, which is kind of insane to me, it most likely won't hit, but Jake Bobo's receiving line is at 1 yard at plus money. Now, I'm not saying this man's going to be, a volume machine, but as line set at under a full yard, coming off a game where he did score a touchdown, I think I have to sprinkle something on it. You can get him at 15 yards at plus 330. All it takes is 1 catch. And, again, Patriots are going to have all their eyes on JSN, and it could just take 1 route, 1 catch for this to hit. So I think it's worth taking Jake Bobo over a yard in this one at plus money.
All right,
take Bobo 15 plus and anytime just pay the bills.
Jake Bobo's paying rent.
There's a couple more fun ones on DraftKings. Super Bowl record breakers. They got a few. Let me know if any of these catch your guys' eye. Any player to have 506 plus passing yards at 15-1. 150-1. Any player to have 216 plus receiving yards at 30-1. Any player to have 205 plus rushing yards at 80-1. Any player to have 7 plus passing touchdowns at 250-1. And any player to have 15 plus receptions at 40-1. Like if I had to pick one of those out of the record breaker, any player to have 216 plus receiving yards at 30-1, like I've seen JSN do that in the Rose Bowl before. Who's to say that the way how creative they can be on offense with getting their guys open? That's just a couple, 50-yard big plays, and who knows? Yeah, I mean, we're talking about record breakers here.
But I agree with you. I think I'm looking on the angle of the receptions. I think they might just pepper him with the 15 receptions at plus 4,000. I mean, looking at it, them two are the lowest odds. But I think the reception, angle of the record breaker, I think that's the way that you should lean if you want to take any of these.
It's funny you guys both said that. I'm a little bit on the opposite, and this is risky because I also in my notes, but I'm a little hesitant on or conflicted in how I feel about Kenneth Walker's game coming in, being the bell cow with Charbonnet out, and he's been used so many times this year. But I could see Kenneth Walker just having an absolute beast mode game. You guys probably saw those memes on Twitter too, and it was like the experience when Kenneth Walker finally becomes the workhorse. Just everything's right in the world. We're all happy. I can see him absolutely breaking one and just having the craziest game ever. But I mean, there's a reason those are record breakers. I'll be the stick and say that I don't expect any of them to happen. But
All right. One more before we kind of get into a couple last ones, and then obviously go over our final game pick. Rushing props. We didn't really discuss that in detail. Matt, you were just talking about Kenneth Walker potentially having a big game. 150 plus rushing yards for Kenneth Walker, plus 1560. That's one that, if you think he's going to have a big one, a few big runs for himself as well, that's something that I would probably sniff around. But looking at the rushing props, anything that caught your guys' eye, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 1+ rushing yard at plus 255. Not sure what his carries looked like this year, if he even had any, but that's a guy, the last game of the season, get a little creative. Maybe he gets a touch there.
I wish I was seeing an AJ Barner line. I would love to hit that. But no, I don't see it. I think what I'm gonna tell Matt with the Kenny Walker. I think if like we touched on, they don't want to give the ball back in New England's hand. I know obviously you have JSN, so they're not going to be shy of throwing the ball, but when it comes down to it, I think they're gonna want to ground and pound. They're gonna want to milk the clock out. So I think I would lean Kenny Walker. Also, I think Ramondre Stevenson, I think his line was pretty low in the low 50s, maybe high 40s. I think I would take that too. I don't think, 225-yard gain or 25 yards in each half. I think he's very capable of doing that. I know game script obviously plays into, how they're going to run the ball, but that goes into every game. So I think I would lean to two of the RB1s. I think I would lean their overs as well. I think I'm just betting every single over at this point.
Something's got to hit. One of them's
got to.
But yeah, no, Nick, I'm with you. I mean, I said it earlier when we did our first touchdowns. I was liking Ramondre, and I think what you said is exactly right. Like 25 yards in each half is certainly doable for him. I think he's going to be a big part of that workload. Like you said, Nick, like Travion can pop one at any moment, and he's certainly going to get his snaps. But I expect that Ramondre is going to get a higher volume, and it doesn't take much. Just a couple good carries, a couple longer sustained drives, and I think he's hitting his number.
All right, let's get into the last couple. We'll go coin toss, then we'll go game prediction, and to wrap it up, we'll go Super Bowl MVP. So, Matt, you go first. Heads or tails? DraftKings being very nice, giving you at minus 103 on a 50-50 bet.
Tails never fails. Don't overcomplicate it. Tails.
Yep, I'm with you. Tails never fails. Simple. Always got to go tails.
All right, I'll go heads to go against you guys, especially McClay.
Of course.
All right, we'll start it off with you, Matt. The overall game prediction took us this long to get into it. Seahawks sitting here, 4.5-point favorites. I believe over/under is still sitting there at 45.5. We really haven't had any line movement. It's been pretty steady. Seahawks minus 230 on the money line. Patriots plus 190. I was surprised to see it like that. I thought it would probably be more towards 3, 2.5 even in favor of Seattle. So that kind of caught my eye. But Matt, give me your score prediction. Who wins, who loses, who covers, and if the over or under hits.
Yeah, I was with you there. I thought 4.5 was a lot. I like the Seahawks money line, but I have them winning in a lower scoring game. I'm thinking something like 21-17, and I think I keep as well right up there with the under, and then right there with a Patriots cover. But I definitely think Seattle's taking it home. I've kind of teased it earlier. We're talking about how dominant the NFC's been all year. I think they're kind of going to continue that train and just showcase why the NFC West has been a beast. And whoever got through there, no shock that they're getting it done.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I'm gonna go with Seattle money line. I really don't like that spread. I think the angle I'm kind of looking at is like Seattle money line, and maybe I think I'm on the opposite. I think I like the over. Over 39.5. Maybe I'll play it down a little bit. So money line, Seattle money line, and over 39.5. You can get that at -105. I just think overall, you touched on it right. The balance of this team from the offense with JSN on the outside to Kenny Walker in the backfield, good offensive line protecting Sam Darnold. Then you look on the defensive side, the speed, the aggressiveness of that defense, starting, up front with Lawrence and Williams, defensive backs like Witherspoon and Eman Wari, who showed up on the injury report. So that could play a factor. And then, they might have the best special teams unit in the NFL. So I think they'll be able to kind of limit and contain the Patriots on kind of both sides of the ball. But this very well could be a Seattle win and a Patriots cover. I just think I trust Seattle's defense more. They're going to send a lot of pressure at Drake May, and Patriots offensive line have allowed 5 sacks in each playoff game so far. So, and then to touch on the over, I'm usually a guy that loves a low scoring, physical type of game, which I know is probably not for most people, but this is a Super Bowl. I don't really think I have it in my heart to bet an under in the last football game of the season. So I like kind of the lean of Seattle money line, move the points down a little bit. I think both teams create some turnovers, can kind of force, short field, scoring chances. And like I touched on with the special teams, maybe, they get a big return, set them up in good field position. So I think Seattle money line, maybe the over 39.5, like 27-23, I think a final score of. What about you, Rye?
I like Seattle to win. I do think 4.5 is a lot. Like even like in that NFC title game, Seahawks won that one by 4. And I think the Patriots are still kind of playing with a chip on their shoulder. Like I'm definitely right up there with one of the people that haven't really believed in this team all year, and they've just answered the bell week after week. Doesn't matter who they played, they've shown up. And is this Seahawks team the best team that they've played all season? Maybe, perhaps. Do they go out there and get blown out? Who knows? They could. Drake May, what does he look like? He's having a lot of rumors and worries about his shoulder and that acting up. And he hasn't really had a great playoffs. I think they really thrived off the defense, has been flying around, making turnovers. Obviously, you get Jared Stidham in the AFC title game. That helps. We're in a better environment here now in San Francisco. The weather's going to be a little bit warmer. Does that play into the Seahawks' favor, kind of with all their speed that they have? And the Patriots have really, I think, benefited from playing these outside games in the cold weather. So there's a lot of factors at play here. But at the end of the day, I'm probably going to go Seattle 23, New England 20. So I'll go New England plus a 4.5, and I'll go under 45.5. We spent the whole show basically talking about offensive props and what we like, but take the under would feel crazy, but I think it's two defenses that have been two of the best defenses in the league this year. And two quarterbacks, first time both of them playing in the Super Bowl. What do they look like with the lights the brightest? A lot of guys in this game, I think it's an interesting factor, like haven't been here before. I'd be surprised to know the exact number of players in this game that have played in the Super Bowl before. We talked about Cooper Kupp, like star players. Really, outside of that, I don't know of any. Like guys that have been around a while, like DeMarcus Lawrence. Obviously, he didn't get there with the Cowboys. Leonard Williams Hunter Henry. No, this is a new game for a lot. Milton Williams with the Eagles last year. He was the guy who was in it, but a lot of these guys are on the stage for the first time, so I think we could see some nerves play in. I'm probably going to try and match like Seahawks money line with a prop. I really like to get it to around like plus 100 because I think they're going to win the game, but I do think New England keeps it close enough to cover. So to wrap it up, we'll go across the board. Super Bowl MVP with going with Seattle. It's hard to pick against the quarterback. Again, I'm at plus 120 there. JSN plus 500 kind of has my attention. Rashid Shaheed at 30-1 has the sixth best odds to win Super Bowl MVP. That just goes to show you, like, they think he could take a punt or a kickback, and then he'll even have like a big 50-yard catch as well in a potentially low-scoring game. Those could be the two biggest plays. So a few names that kind of caught my eye there. I'll have some fun with it. I'll go JSM plus 500 to be my Super Bowl MVP. Kind of have a similar performance to Cooper Kupp as he did in that Super Bowl to win the MVP. 8 catches, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns, I think it was. I'm expecting this one to be really close back and forth, and I could see like a last-minute drive. Sam Darnold maybe doesn't play his best the entire game, but JSN is constantly getting catches. Nick, you said maybe even get over that 15 number, just absolutely peppered with targets. JSN has a few big third down conversions on a final drive and catches the game-winning touchdown and finds himself as the MVP. So give me JSN plus 500 to cap off one of the better receiver seasons we've seen over the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I'm with you with JSN. I think if I did have to place only one, it would be JSN. I think a fun one is DeMarcus Lawrence. I really think that they're going to get in the backfield. The New England's offensive line has been like a huge hole, that needs to get fixed. They've allowed 5 sacks by themselves alone in each of their 3 playoff games so far. So I think a fun one is DeMarcus Lawrence, but a few other novelty props, not to keep this going longer than we have to, that I like. Over 2.5 players to throw a pass at plus 160. I think, you could see both coaches kind of emptying the playbook here. Like, maybe like a fun jet sweep reversal with like Cooper Kupp or something, chucking one downfield. I saw yellow Gatorade, just my favorite Gatorade, kind of have to stick with it. I'll go yellow Gatorade. We already touched on tails. Simple. Tails never fails. Total sacks between both teams over 4.5. Like Patriots have 12 total sacks themselves. We just touched on it. They have allowed 5 sacks by themselves in each of their game. And then their DraftKings is doing a fun thing, next gen stats with fastest ball carrier. I think Travion Henderson at plus 850 is a great number. You think all it takes is one for him to break, loose. He has the 6th fastest ball carry time in the regular season at 22 miles per hour. So I think that's worth a fun little bet to sprinkle on at plus 850.
I love those. Those are fun. They're fun. I appreciate you guys both going JSN too. Makes it easy. I'll go with the chalk pick. I'll throw Sam Darnold out there. For my NJ boys, my Jets fans back home, shout out the boy, the prodigal son, the savior, just not in New Jersey, not in Rutherford, in Seattle. Sammy D's going to get it done. No interceptions, clean football, a lot of handoffs to Kenneth Walker, but a couple of touchdowns out there to JSN too to get his name in the history book. So I'll take the chalk pick. I'll go with the QB winning team, Sam Darnold.
All right, well, that'll do it for our Super Bowl prop bet bonanza, deep dive on the game, everything in between. It's been fun hanging out with you guys all year. Anyone who's tuned in, started this show, the 3 of us together, probably mid-October, early November, something like that. It's been fun to kind of see the season through. A lot of the stuff that we talked about, I don't think any of us had the Patriots going to the Super Bowl. A lot of us did talk about how the Rams and the Seahawks and the 49ers, we thought probably were going to emerge there out of the NFC at one point. So look at the Seahawks here, but excited to see it all through on Sunday and bring you guys some videos throughout the offseason. Hopefully next week we can meet up again, talk Super Bowl recap, and then kind of go through the head coaching cycle. 10 different coaches, maybe review those, grade those, and then start looking towards the draft and free agency. Football's a year-round thing. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in. It's been a fun season. I look forward to catching up with you guys next week. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and we'll talk soon.